Welcome to the Industry Angel Podcast. We hear from the best business minds across the globe. Entrepreneurs, social influencers, marketing mavens, and sales rock stars. We've got them all. Here comes your weekly dose of inspiration with your host, Ian Farah.
So thanks all for coming in person. My printer wouldn't work upstairs, so I'm not playing Candy Crush. I've actually got some notes on here. I know. My eyes, honestly, can't even see the thing. Shall I click live?
There you go.
Yeah, I know. Shall I click live? Oh, well, I will. Done this a few times, you know. Did I see our Rory at the back there? Stop hiding. Who hasn't signed the South Tyneside pledge as an organisation? Has anyone not signed the pledge? If you're based in South Tyneside? No? Ah, man. For every 5, Rory takes me to lunch. So I'm right then, let's have a look at my notes.
You do need glasses, don't
honestly, it's ridiculous.
Do you want me to read?
Yes, please. Okay, format for today then. So my 3 colleagues, actually, when we did a little bit of a run through last week, all this we're talking about was shades of Libby. That's all we're talking about. So
and where's yours?
I'm going to put you on the spot. Well, I've got like a natural kind of nude colour on today. It's from Maybelline. Pillow Talk, it's called. Don't try and catch me out. I've done this hundreds of times. You're not going to get me, right?
Is that a challenge?
Yeah. And thanks very much. So your shade?
Yes, mine's a poppy colour today.
Right, okay. So, Lisa?
I haven't got a clue. It's the name's rubbed off. I've used it that many times.
Well, it was natural brown,
right.
But I've licked it off because it tasted delicious.
Oh, wow.
So now I'm just pure natural.
That's why people don't come for this practice. Right, okay. So we're going to have a chat with the ladies and then we'll have a lunch. We might take some questions from the floor as well. Is that okay?
Yeah.
We might take some from home. Misha, are you okay with that? You might want to throw stuff up. So if anyone's watching at home, where's the camera? If anyone's watching at home, you can pop some stuff in the comments and we might throw it on screen or we'll ask later on. So...
The guys from Red Stamp are whispering then. They're getting their difficult questions ready, I can tell.
Oh, really?
They've already threatened.
Good stuff. Thanks for pointing that out, Lisa. So we've got Melissa from Project Northeast.
Yoo-hoo!
Oh, nice. Peony?
Yeah.
Peony. I didn't even know it was called Project Northeast. I've always just known.
What?
I know.
It's 43 years old. You should have done a bit of research.
Just like me. Okay. Stop laughing. And then we've got Judith. You should be there. Lisa should be there in my head, but Lindsay reckons not.
Why is that?
Just the way I've got my notes set up.
Mix it up.
Yeah, and we've got
Keep you when you talk.
You did say this day last week, you did.
Lisa from Jarrow-based BlueJay Wellness CIC. You've had 3 fantastic years. How long now?
Just over 2, yeah.
Just
it's
over
only
2.
2 years.
It's been fantastic.
Yeah.
Who should we start with first? Melissa. And we've got Judith. You've come all the way from upstairs.
Upstairs,
the first
it
floor.
was a really
From
few steps down in the
And you can tell us all about startups in the borough and how you can support us.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
With the pre-start.
So George decided that Melissa was going to go
Thanks,
first. You know, as a business coach, I often get asked this when kind of young entrepreneurs, fledgling entrepreneurs are like, right, you know, I want to start something, but what is a charity? What is a cake? How do I form it? That sort of stuff. So should we start there?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the first things that you need to do is kind of solidify what it is that you want to do first before you look at the legal structure of all of the different things. Because I know there's a few people in the room. We've got Lisa, who's already a kick. We've got a few sole traders, partnerships, limited companies. We have got charities in the room as well, ex-charities and stuff. And I think rather than me talking for 45 minutes about the differences between them, I'll just give you a snapshot. But honestly, and this is a genuine offer, come and speak to us. Come and speak to me. There's David in the room. Come on, David, don't be shy, from First Pot as well, who you can have a chat to. And also, like, talk to people who've already set up the different types of businesses that you might have experienced, like a kick. So speak to Lisa, speak to Teco, speak to myself. But essentially, when we're talking about a social enterprise, we're talking about a business that wants to make lots and lots of money. When we're talking about a charity, we're talking about a business that wants to make lots and lots of money. A sole trader, a partnership, they're all the same. They want to make lots and lots of money. The only difference is what you do with that money. So a social enterprise will put it back into the community that it was set up and wants to respond to some problem that's happening in that community. A charity is exactly the same. It might just be a little bit more of a larger scale and can't rely on profit making, I suppose, sales in business. It's got to rely on grants, it's got to rely on donations and little things like that. But essentially, they're all the same thing. So I would say solidify your business first, make sure you genuinely know what it wants to do, and then speak to somebody who can advise you on the different structures on a one-to-one basis, because everyone is a little bit different. But the good side of it is if you pick one, let's say you pick a kick, and you go, yay, I'm a kick and I'm doing all of these things and I'm making a profit and I'm putting it back into the community. And then 6 months later, you realise that was the wrong decision. Guess what you can do? Come on, George, what can you do? You can change it. You're not stuck to the same business type at all. So like I said, I'll repeat it again because I'm a person who likes to repeat things 3 times. Solidify what it is that you want to do and why first, and then talk to somebody about the type of business or the structure of the business that you're setting up. Does that make sense?
It does. No. Does that make sense?
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Don't ask me.
Yeah. Who's already a kick then? Nice. Who's already a sole trader?
2.
2 kicks. That's just greedy. 2
limited companies.
So who's a charity? Oh, interesting. There we go. I knew there was one. I knew there was one. And who hasn't started yet, or is thinking, or is maybe in transition, or yeah.
Come on,
couple
you.
of people. Get in.
Get that hand up.
Be honest, because I'm going to tell you about some funding in a bit, and it's suitable for all of you. So definitely.
Should we just go straight into that then? 'Cause that's a great way to do it.
So I've got a beautiful poster with me. I hope the people on our live chat can see this, but if not, I can take a picture of me.
Yeah, no, they can. Yeah.
Yay, champion stuff. So we have launched, and you might have seen it in the press, the Social Enterprise Boost Programme. It is specifically to support people to do something right in their communities. So it's started and it's launching pilots. It's open for applications now, right now. It's only available in South Tyneside, Sunderland and Durham at the moment, but let's see how we get on in a couple of years' time, and maybe it can go to other locations. The idea is that we want to inspire you to set up a business that helps your local community of South Tyneside. So if you can identify a problem or identify something that needs to happen in South Tyneside, or something that is happening now but needs to go bigger, then this is the type of project for you. So it involves one-to-one business advice and mentoring and coaching. It's got lots of training, lots of fun training where you might be able to see it, where you wear odd socks and we play games with tennis rackets and clay and all sorts of things. It's important stuff. You need to learn these stuff. But it's also got a grant attached to it as well, which, again, David, if I point to him in the corner, is managed by First Port, which is an organisation that we work in partnership with. So we deal with the on-the-ground support and First Port deal with the finances, and that's so we can have a bit of impartiality. But essentially, in a nutshell, you've got 3 strands of grants. You've got £1,000 to try it. So if you were classed as a pre-start, you haven't started your business yet, or you haven't registered your business yet, you know you want to do something, and you need a grand or so to get yourself started and prove that there is a need for something out there, then that's the grant for you. You've also got a second grant, which is up to £5,000, which is to help you, I suppose, register your business as a social enterprise, prove that it can do something, get more people involved, maybe do some pilot testing. And then after that, you've got up to another £5,000, which is to grow your business, to make it embedded in the community that you set up to support. So the whole total, if you went through the whole 1, 5, and 4, you can have a maximum of £10,000 to support your business. And I think, imagine that in South Tyneside. Let's say 50 of us in this room all get £10,000 to do something really good in South Tyneside. Oh, what a difference that'll make. So come on, get the applications in. Yeah, we're nice and friendly. And if you do need support in filling in your application, or you've got any questions, ask us. I've got some leaflets over there. Get us on Facebook. I don't mind. I'm a good talker, as you can tell.
Did you and Judith dovetail into this then? Because obviously there's £1,000 to start, which is like sort of bootstrap, don't borrow. You just kind of test trade,
absolutely,
see if it works.
Yeah.
How does that work?
So Judith and I know each other very well. I've seen many a shade of that lipstick. I love it. I absolutely love it. So what we do is we do not deliver support that is in I suppose, against what other people are already doing or duplicating what's already doing. So we will plug in a gap. So 99% of the clients who come through, well, 100% of the clients who come through from South Tyneside have you spoken to TEDCO? If you haven't, you need to speak to TEDCO. Yeah, and TEDCO does the same for us as well. If you haven't spoken to P&E and you're eligible for this grant, then why don't you refer over? But TEDCO, just to do a massive shout out, because I've done some secret shopping with my clients, has some amazing workshops, and the one-to-one support that they offer is fantastic. And the best thing about it is it's here. It's right here on your doorstep. So P&E, fantastic organisation. Yeah, I'm not saying that because I work there. I absolutely love it. We're based in Newcastle. Can be hard to get to when it's raining. Yeah, TEDCO, it's literally round the corner, and they have the most amazing business advisors, the most amazing delivery team and workshops as well. And they really do listen to what you need. So
I have to pay our well for
I
this.
know.
I'm trying. What's going to be left for me to say then?
They're
No,
amazing.
but I think it is. It's just that bit. I think picking up on what Melissa had then said earlier on. This is about the support that's going on across the borough at the moment, and I think there's so much passion and there's so much enthusiasm that's going out there from individuals, from organisations that are really, really just want to help people. We want this to be the place to do business, and this is a great community. And I think this is about collaborating and this is about working together. So TEDCO, thank you for the very kind words then. There's a lot of people in the room today, and you are looking, or you have already set up that business that's got that social purpose. But when Melissa's saying early stages, sometimes people don't know and you're not quite sure and you don't know what you then want. And I think it's that little bit about having a conversation with somebody, and who are those people who you can have that conversation with. So, here at TEDCO, we've got that team of friendly advisors who, you can come and chat to. We want to be that critical friend. We want to be that sounding board. We want to try and handhold you a little bit through this process. There's no such things as silly questions, and people will often come in and say, I've got this idea to do this. And it's kind of like, I don't know how to start. I don't know where to go. I'm not quite sure on what the purpose is about all this. So that's when those conversations happen and you have the chat. And that might be that you are going down what you're kind of calling that mainstream profit-making business, and that's the route that you're then going down. But it could be that you've got that social purpose and you've got that social arm, so we can still provide that support. And that's where, social boost programs there for the social purpose side of things. Have you had a conversation with, we can do an introduction, we can have three-way conversations, and I think it's all about that support, about finding out what's going to be the best fit for you and planning for that and researching that. And like what you then said, that the support that we then provide, we're trying to be inclusive as we possibly can here, so it's kind of having a look at doing some of those face-to-face sessions. It's having a look at doing some sessions that are online via Zoom, that are via Teams. And we've also got the one-to-one support as well, so that it's that dedicated one-on-one support, because sometimes people don't want to talk about things openly that might be confidential in that forum. But the starting place, I think, for the workshops can be that, fact finding a little bit in that generic information that then leads to more questions and support. And the topics that we're then putting on are born from the feedback that we've then had from businesses that we have then worked with. We are aiming to fill that gap, the gap that people then say, actually, this would be really helpful for me. A one on marketing, a one on network and social media, a one on what's the right legal status for my business. So I think we are trying to put all those sessions on that then help support everybody who's in this room and across the borough, that you do get the right footing and off to the right level of support to guide you, really, because it then helps mitigate the risks when you do go on to start up.
No, look, great stuff. So that's purely startups, is it?
Yes. So where we come into this, because Melissa had then said that you're a little bit more across the board with the Social Boost programme, from what we term as the pre-start, so like before you've started and you've got that seed of the idea, through to the startup side of things and the existing social enterprises. Across the borough of South Tyneside at the moment, our programme that we're working on is aimed at those people who haven't yet started. So whether you've got that seed of that idea, whether it's on your radar, what you're then thinking about, have that conversation. It's very much planning at the very, very beginning, in the pre-start stage, before you've then gone on to set up your business.
And that's not just for social enterprises, it's for any startup at all,
It's across the board, and that's when we would say just have a conversation with us. And I think this is the little bit that I'm then saying about like the partnership work. And, you know, we don't know what we don't know, and you've got to ask the right questions to then get the right information. And it's kind of, where's your starting point? And I think sometimes, you know, across the board for businesses, sometimes you have this picture that you're then starting up in business and you've got this big team of people that are around you. And, you know, Ian, you know this from the micro side of things. Actually, it could be a sole trader starting up and there's just you. You've got nobody as that sounding board. You've got nobody to talk to in those early stages. So when you are thinking about it, it's kind of coming to us so we can help you with your networks. You know, if there's other people that we can then introduce you to, we will have a look at trying to introduce you to those people. It's a bit of peer-to-peer learning. We want this to then be the community. And I think it's a case of, you're doing this in business, right? Okay, can you then go and talk to this business? Can you do work together? I've been speaking to a lady this morning already in the room who's spot you there in the audience, and it's just saying we're hooping up together, we're going to have a look at doing this, bringing our expertise together, you know. So yes, so it's not just the social side of things. Any idea that you then have, you know, people will come to us and they will say, might be a bit crazy, but, and I think come and have that conversation with us, you know, no such thing as a crazy idea. I'm going to open the floodgates and everything. I will test you. But yeah, across the board, come and have a conversation with us no matter what that business is.
So if Bernard was thinking about doing his 8th limited company in South Tyneside,
Just got another one set up.
Yeah.
We'd probably be saying to you, can you come in and talk on one of our sessions, please, and tell everybody else pros and cons. Do a double session with us.
I started at 5:30 in the morning, finished at 11 o'clock last night.
Oh, bless you.
Yeah, and that's the reality side of things, isn't it? Yeah, the true reality.
So what does that look like then? So someone has an idea, that reach out to Tedco, to come in and see you, or you go to them? Or?
Yeah, it can be a complete mixed bag, and I think that's when we're having a look at that tailored support. So it's a case then of we would just say either whatever form of communication that then works for people. That can be a telephone call that comes in, that can be an email inquiry comes in, it can be a web form that then comes in. We would then respond to that and have a conversation, and that's generally where it then starts. That conversation in terms of what would then work best for you. Some people I've started trading and I haven't yet legalised this. How do I tell HMRC what I'm then going to do? And it might purely just be a conversation on how do I then register with HMRC. We can have that conversation with people. We can guide you through, you know, that process. For other people, it could be, I've got this idea, I don't know where to start. I've never been in business before. I don't know anything about it. I've got the skills, I've got the experience, but I've got no idea about running a business. And that then starts and then says, right, you know, first protocol might be some of the workshops. It might then be having a one-to-one. So appointment wise, that can then be fortunate that we can do appointments at any of the buildings that then Sarah referred to across the borough. We can do those in other public places, meeting rooms. We are really flexible. It can be telephone, Zoom. We try to work towards your needs.
So that's the startup world. You don't need to be startup, you can be existing already?
You can be startup, you can be existing. I think in terms of the Social Enterprise Boost programme, you've got to be trading under 5 years.
Okay.
So that might be you registered 6 years ago, but you weren't trading for a year for whatever reason. But yeah, as long as you're under 5 years old, that's fine. But generally, in terms of P&E support, we are an enterprise agency based in the city centre of Newcastle that plugs the gaps. That's what it's there for. So if there was, I'm a business and I've been going for 15 years and no one will help us, come and talk to us. Because if there's no one else who'll help you, then we'll help you. We'll even make you a cup of tea. Don't take coffee from us. I cannot do it. I don't understand coffee. What's with the granules? But anyway, so we can support where there's a gap. So if you can't find your local enterprise agency that can't support you, come and speak to us. We'll support you.
So when did your project start?
So Project Northeast started in, I'm going to get wrong for this because there's two, 1981. Mm-hmm. So we are 42, nearly 43 years old. I know. The cream, isn't it? Avon special. I didn't start it. It was started by two guys called David, but there you go. And yeah, so we've been going ever since. And we created the first internet line in Newcastle. I know that sounds crazy, but we are talking like 43 years ago. We created a business that said, as a social enterprise at that point, which wasn't defined as a social enterprise, there is a need to help people start and grow businesses in our region, and they're not getting the help that they need, or they're getting charged an absolute fortune. So let's see if we can get a building off our local authority for cheap, do it out, and let's give them office space, and let's give them a place to start this business. And we've been going ever since. And I love it.
Have you had some help, Lisa, from this fund?
I might have done, yes. I love Lisa. So I did the Impact Incubator, which is one of the many things that PNE offers. So I completed that last year.
Yeah, it was.
Wow,
Thank
yeah.
you.
So we got office space in Newcastle, and I say we because what I loved about the Impact Incubator and the way that ran was that we were very much encouraged to come together, the people who were on the programme. How many of us was
10.
there? All from completely different backgrounds and different places, and got to bounce off each other. And we had a weekly meeting that either Mel or one of the team came along to and kind of facilitated those discussions that were...
Where's the cake? What's wrong? What do you need?
The important things first, but then kind of the making sure that we were making the progress we needed to, but also letting each other bounce ideas off each other as well. So I did the Impact Incubator, and I think I've certainly found, so we were saying before when we were talking before we started, like, being self-employed can be really lonely, and especially when you're by yourself. So I'm in the process at the minute of putting together my board of directors, but at the minute it's just me, it's little old me, and sometimes it can be really lonely. And I think you've got to put yourself out there, and you've got to find those people that can give you that support. So for me, it's been definitely Far North and Microbiz, and sort of the stuff that they do with Microbiz Unite, so that's happened twice now, and both times you just walk away feeling so empowered, because I love this statistic: 90% of businesses in South Tyneside are micro businesses. So together we have such a huge voice, and I think you can forget that sometimes when it's just you and you're by yourself. But when you come away from that room and you've had that day where you're just like, wow, we can do amazing things, like, it feels so good. And the first year of it for me came about because, so I'm a pledgee, a proud pledgee. And what they did for the pledgees that first year was they opened it up for people to get free spaces. I'm looking at Rory over here, who's been a brilliant support as well. So thank you, Rory. And I got a free place at the first one, so I didn't pay for my ticket. And then I entered the awards. So this is where my magic bag comes in. What's I done with it? There it is. So I won the first ever Third Sector Heroes Awards. This comes with me. It's up in my office. It comes with it. So that was my first award that I won as the business. But that came about because I'd had that support from the council, and because they'd offered me that place, and I'd gone along, and I thought, well, do you know what? Why not? So then off the back of that, I had another conversation with someone else from Invest South Tyneside, with Gren, who was brilliant, and he helped me to get my office, which is in Jarrow Business Centre. So I now have my own office and space away from the house, which makes a massive difference, which has helped my marriage massively, because I no longer have 200 yoga mats sitting in my garage. They're all in my office. So, so that's come off the back of coming to these talks, going to things like the Microbiz Unite. Then I did PNE and did the work with them. I've done one. Sunderland University have a program as well for their alumni, and I did their program. And I think that put yourself out there for things as much as you possibly can. And then you end up doing this and being on the other side of it all, which feels very strange. And then off the back of doing PNE, I also do my the next one. Also, actually, in between, I won a Best of South Tyneside award for business in the community. And then off the back of doing PNE, I also got, here's one I made earlier, Startup Awards last year. So that wouldn't have come about if it wasn't for PNE. 2 years running, those winners.
Wait for the applause.
Oh, sorry. So, Startup Awards. That's how many
Now it's just milking it.
Now I'm milking
There's more in that bag.
But this one, 2 years running, the winner of, so this was the Social Impact Award for the startups. So they have like 3 categories. So the startups is like the middle category, and they have a Social Impact Award each time. Both years, the last 2 years, have been people who've done the Impact Incubator. And I think that tells you a lot
like
about.
Peony's award.
Yeah, honestly, it is. It's like getting embarrassing, isn't it?
We don't fudge it, by the way.
No, they don't. And then I went to Love South Tyneside as well this year, and I was shortlisted for one of theirs. And these ones, like things like that for me are really important because it's about what you're giving back to the community, and it's about what I'm doing like within the community. And that for me is what Social Boost is about, what being a social enterprise is about, the reason why I became a CIC. There's lots of support there, but you might not realize it. Because when I started out, I was like, there's nothing. Well, who is there that's going to help little old me? But there is. You have to go along to things and find these things out. But there is lots of support out there. So yeah, did that answer that question?
Well, would anyone like to summarise what Lisa's just said there?
Award for being Lisa.
Yay! Oh. Mum of the year.
I told them my kids are together.
Yeah, well, I've had your kids in my office.
Yeah, you've met my children.
I think I still got the drawing on the whiteboard. They left me actually.
I've got two boys who are 5 and 11. You can guess what the drawings might have been.
Rockets, obviously. Obvious rockets, yeah.
So essentially, just do stuff, get involved. Go out there.
Don't be shy, I suppose, is the answer. But bear in mind that I know a lot of people in this room and further afield are shy. It's really hard to kind of put yourself forward and go, I want to talk to somebody about this. I need some advice. It's like in the old days, because I am quite old, when you wanted to go and speak to the bank manager, you got dressed up and you physically went to the bank and was like, please, miss, can I have something, please, sir? Business advisors, people who run businesses are just normal people. Just find us in the best place where you like to look. You will find us all over Facebook, Twitter, or X, whatever they wants to call it these days, Instagram. You'll find us on the phone. You'll find us on emails. You'll find us by Google searching us. You'll probably find us on videos on YouTube and all sorts of things like that. Pick what is the most comfortable for you as the first introduction to that world. Go for it. Just talk to them that way. And then slowly but surely, as business advisors, we are trained in making you a little bit more comfortable to the point where you will come and see us, or we will come and see you and make you a cup of tea. So yes, you might be shy, but find your best way of contacting somebody and do it, because you are missing out on a wealth of information if you don't. And you shouldn't be sat. I mean, so many people who are running their businesses on their own, they're working from home. Most of the week, they don't get to see another soul except the post person who comes and delivers the bills, which is not a nice sight. So please do reach out and talk to somebody. Look at us, we're mad at a box of frogs.
I think those first conversations can be really hard as well, because I think actually saying your idea out loud can be quite scary sometimes, because you're like, what if they tell me that it's a load of rubbish? And I think that can be quite a scary bit. But I think I got a piece of advice when I was first starting out, and it's always stayed with me, that people deserve to have what it is that you are offering, and you are doing a disservice to people by keeping it in your head. Yeah. So put it out there and start it and see what happens. What's the worst that's going to happen?
I think people do, I think like that sometimes, don't they, in terms of that fear factor a little bit about, we're not there to judge people's ideas. When you look across the world, in terms of the businesses and the natures of some of the businesses, we probably will all look at some businesses and go, how is that business trading? That is really, really bizarre. How are people buying that product? Is there a need for that service? But yes, there is. And I think it's that bit that says, we're then not here to say this is a good idea, this is a bad idea. This is about working alongside people. When you've got that idea, that then says, how is this then going to work? Have you got the market research that says this is going to work? Is there a gap in the market for this? And if you're getting the answers to those questions, that is yes, 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 you've got people who are buying into that, then that is then telling you that this is then going to work. But I think it's really key about talking to people. And I think to make that first engagement and that first inquiry, we work with a lot of people and a lot of individuals, particularly around like the networking side of things, and the thought of going and speaking to people, it just puts that fear factor in them. And again, as part of being, sometimes that friendly face and that advisor who they can go to, a lot of the time you will then find that one of us within our team will be at that event, and it's a case of, right, what time are you getting there? We'll meet you at the front door, we'll go in together. And then that's that bit that then says we can introduce you to X, Y, and Z, have that conversation. And the majority of the time, people will always turn around and say, I was dreading that, and it was nowhere near as bad as what I thought it was. And I've walked away with a really good connection, and people are really quite friendly, and people are really willing to help. And I think that's what it's about. There are really helpful people who are keen to help and support and hook people up and say, have you spoken to, have a conversation with? Yeah. And it's about getting people talking for the good that everybody's got to do across the borough.
I'm going to put you both on the spot here.
Work. You mean Lisa and Judith, right?
No.
Sitting back on this one.
Top 3 questions, okay? People want to know when they first come and see you.
Oh. Ready? Are there any grants? It's the first one. I haven't told my family yet. Do you think they'll be upset? And the other one is, from me anyway, is I don't know what social media does. And this is the way they say, I don't know what social media does. Do you think it'll work?
Mine wasn't going to be so much around the social media side of things, but sometimes it's often that bit of, here's my business idea. Will it work?
Yeah. That's a
on
good
the
question.
Table. Yeah. And it's not always the social media one, just will it work? And I think an expectation of that clear cut, yes or no. You know, when you think you're just presented with an idea, nothing else that goes around it, and it bounces back to what I then said, who are we to then say, yes, that will work, or no, that won't work? And we could have had somebody in, and we've got to, worked with other businesses that have got that exact same idea. Mm-hmm. But different individuals make different businesses work.
Yeah,
definitely. Should we ask the audience if they've got any questions? Yeah, and at home as well. And in terms of social media, if anybody wants to share this or comment on this, do it and push it to your friends and family who might be interested in some of the services that the team have said. So questions, and who would like to kick us off? Bernard, I know where this is going.
Is this for the first kick, the second kick, or the third?
No, actually, it's absolutely right. I know you're based South Tyneside. Do you support literally throughout the whole of the North East, or just South Tyneside?
So we have the programme of support in South Tyneside, where we are working with pre-start individuals, so people have got that idea. But then we do also have some other programmes across the North East that we are working on. Some of that has been previously from other, I'm going to say, pots of money, of European money, when we've been able to work across the whole of the North East. But we do have programmes in some areas at the moment when we can support people at different stages. So have the conversation, ask us, and we'll tell you, subject to what your requirements are. If you're outside of the area.
Potentially do the talking to.
Right, okay, yeah.
But there's Newcastle, it could be over at Durham or wherever, but not necessarily, that's why I say. Is it worth sending them to you, even if they are outside your catchment area?
Yeah, and I can have a conversation with you as well, about that when you say we do have some support in Newcastle as well. That would be focused on some of the existing business side of things. But yeah, we'll have a conversation, definitely.
And obviously come and talk to me as well. Don't take me coffee.
I'll try the coffee.
What we'll do is we're going to pull this mic, and if anyone else has a question, we'll use the mic so that the viewers at home can see you. And yeah, we'll share that one out. Good stuff. Well done. Okay, who's next? I'm looking at you there, Lisa, because I know there's something. Hold on. Let's.
What'd you say no for? We're not scary. Turn the camera around.
What do you mean by impact incubator?
Oh, do you want to explain it? Because you were the impact incubator queen.
I was. So
if you get stuck, just tell us.
so Impact Incubator runs out of the PNE offices just off Pink Lane in Newcastle, and it's a program where you can access like one-to-one support from the PNE staff, and then you have desk space. But
yeah.
Is that still?
We're refurbishing it this year, and then hopefully it'll come back next year. So we haven't got a hiatus on it at the moment for this year up until March next year, because the walls needed painting and the electricians needed fixing.
And we had weekly meetings as well as a group of people who were kind of like early stage. So I'd already started BlueJay when I did the Impact Incubator, but I'd only been going for maybe
Couple of months.
6 months, something like that. So it's aimed at those kind of early stages, and there was a mix of people who were going from idea stage to those who like were already biking around you.
Yes.
I know exactly what I'm thinking of. So people at slightly different stages, but that early bit of it all. And so there's like, it's a whole package of support essentially. So it opens up at once a year, doesn't it? And you just apply.
Essentially what weaves it together is underpinning, so we can accept 10 people into the office space that we got, and it's like a 2-floor office space where there's 10 desks in there. Hello, everybody dance and put the lights back on. Is that how it works? No. And the reason it's called Impact Incubator is because the people who we bring in are all making an impact in their communities that they want to support. So it might be Lisa is supporting young people, mental health, well-being. And I'll do a little, because you mentioned James, who runs Bud Couriers, is a local bike rider, as opposed to a trailer on the back who does local deliveries. But ultimately, they're all making an impact on the local area that they're there to support. So as soon as applications are in, you'll see it all over the place. And make sure you get an application and come forward. And we were fortunate over the last couple of years to be funded through. So we got a little bit of funding, not all funded, from Newcastle City Council to make sure that worked. And like I said, it's on a pause at the moment because we needed to redo the building, but it will come back in the near future. Yeah.
So one of the things that they did for me as an example, so I applied for some funding from Sunderland University, and Mel spent a lovely hour with me, listening to me, chatting on, and going through the presentation with me, and like, because that was one of the things I'd never done. Like I've run my own business for like a few years, profit making. So moving into the CIC world, I'd never applied for funding or anything before, so it was my first one. So Mel absolutely held my hand through it and was like, even down to little things like, I was like, what do I wear? Do I go in like my yoga gear, so it's me and how I would be on a day-to-day basis, or do I need to dress up? You know, even those little things that like just knowing someone's gonna help you out a little bit. And she was like, yeah, wear your wacky yoga pants.
Go
100%. Which I did, and I got the funding. So, you know, it's, so that's an example of like one of the things that I got help with from PNE. So yeah, but it's a fab program. It's really, really good.
I think in terms of incubators as well, the ones that I've coached in, it's the peer-to-peer support as well.
Really,
I mean, obviously there's loads of great support and workshops and that, but when you're all in the same room together and, going through the same challenges and you're bouncing off each other, that's where it's at.
And we still WhatsApp each other.
Yeah.
Like group of 10 people. So yeah.
Usually Nat, fix my website. Lisa, I need yoga.
That is a good thing about like the workshop things of bringing people together though in a room, because I think it's that bit of, you often then will find maybe a question didn't come on your radar, or someone else is then asking that question. You think, oh, actually, good question. That really applies to me. And I think it's that bonding and that gel of going through a similar journey with other people, isn't it? You know, who can relate to it.
Yeah.
Bernard, I saw your hand up as well. Misha's going to come round and give you the microphone.
Can I just say she's got the best shoes in the entire world.
Yeah. Tried taking her to a manufacturing plant that recycled fridges, and for her to walk in, and the health and safety guy just fell over backwards.
I'll take a picture of them later.
I suppose it's more for you, Miller. Do you find that CICs that have already been set up and incorporated, that they've been given the wrong advice of what type of CIC to incorporate a lot? I come across and we deal in that space. And the average solicitor and accountant who people talk to basically just say, oh, here you go, set you up as a limited by guarantee, CIC, here we go. And a lot of people use it as charity light. And then trying to, I know you said you can change. But unpicking that,
absolutely,
and especially because most people don't realise is, especially since changed the legislation this year, you can actually invest into a Schedule 3 CIC and get qualified for SEIS and EIS.
It's brilliant. Hello world, you listen to
hold on, because you just blew everyone's mind there,
Google
right?
it.
I'm watching everyone. Did you all go like, what was that about?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, totally.
Go on then, he's the master of it.
Right.
Right, okay.
There are two schemes run by HMRC.
I'll plug in if you
Right,
get
called
help.
the Seed Enterprise Investment Scheme and the Enterprise Investment Scheme.
Yep.
And they are to encourage individuals to invest in startup businesses. Right?
Yeah.
And SEIS, basically, if an individual invests, they will give you back 50% of the amount of money that you invest,
Yeah.
as long as you have paid the tax
Yeah.
or are going to pay the tax
Yeah.
in the coming year or going back 3 years. EIS is 30%. We won't go into it all on that. But when you set up your business, the only time you can take a corporate shareholder
Yeah.
is at the founding stages. They must be a founding shareholder. So you can't say, oh, well, let's say Ian's business wanted to invest in your business. Unless they do it right at the beginning, they can't. So there are things to think about on there. Now, you're limited with, obviously a CIC, that 65% goes back in and 35% you're out. On a Schedule 3, you are allowed to distribute from that 35%, which means you can have shareholders. Yeah, onto that, and you can distribute out to them. Now, the type of investor that you would have into that isn't a standard investor who's looking for a return. They're looking for a corporate and community and social impact investment. So they're not necessarily looking for the return. It's how can you deliver an impact with the money that goes into that.
There you go. Yeah.
Up
So
until April this year, there was a tax system called SITR, which was the social income tax relief, which basically allowed charities and CICs for anybody who lent them money to claim back 30% of that.
Yep.
But they scrapped that because basically nobody knew about it and they didn't have a take up on it. It was minuscule. So I think it was like 3.5 million was distributed out of a pot of about 85 million that was available. So they brought CICs into the realm of SEIS. And the simple fact, if somebody invests in it, they must keep their shares there for 3 years. You can pay a dividend. After the 3 years, as a CIC, you're allowed to buy their shares back from them, but you aren't allowed to pay them any more than they paid in the first place. Yep. So to keep it very simple, somebody puts £1,000 into you, they get 500 quid back, and in 3 years' time, you might want rid of them as an investor. You got to tell you what, we're going to buy your shares back, you get your £1,000 back. Yep. Very simple doddle on that one.
Yeah. See, everyone is still like, what? Essentially, CICs in the past used to be seen as charities. Let's keep it dead simple. Used to be, you get grants, you do things, you do nice things. You've got something called an asset lock. You can't take much of a salary. So a dividend, okay, but you can't take much of a salary from the company. And now, as of the new changes, which I can send some information around if anybody wants to read it, or I can do a video call with you and talk it through and things like that. It has changed in that you can now get that seed investment right at the beginning. There's a tax incentive for that to happen. There isn't such a high asset lock. It's dropped a bit. You can take a decent salary from a CIC. So it's kind of changed a CIC from being more of a charity to being more of a limited company with social purpose.
And you can raise up to £250,000 on your SEIS raise.
Yeah.
And you can raise up to 5 million a year on your EIS with a maximum cap of 15 million over the lifetime of the raise.
Yeah. But all we
If
want
anyone
is
would
20
like to
quid.
invest in BlueJay Wellness CIC,
If you're a Schedule 3, I'll show you how to do it.
Oh, that sounds really nice. You're Schedule 3. I'll show you.
well, to go back to what you were saying at the beginning about like making those decisions about which type to go for and things like that, because obviously I was in that position. I read all the government documentation and felt more confused than when I started.
Yep.
It's all out there, but I needed a real life person to be like, this is what this means and this is what this means and this is the decision that you need to make. And that made a massive difference for me, because the government documents, like if you want something to send you to sleep on at night, go for it.
And again, this is where people like PNE will
Yes.
help.
Yes.
If you go to most
Absolutely.
accountants, even if they're tax accountants and solicitors, they've no idea.
Yeah.
And again, it's back to what you don't know, you don't know.
Yeah.
So they're just going to say, oh yeah, you can do this, do it like that.
Yeah.
But then you've just done it the wrong way for the sake of waiting, going and talking, sitting down with people and running through some ideas and things like that.
Yeah.
Save yourself a great headache. further down the line.
And it sounds obvious, but a business advisor, like the ones at Tedco and the one at PNE and other places, the BIC and all sorts of other places, will look at it holistically. So what you were saying there is if you came in with a kick, yes, I see a lot of people who have set up the business, they've made when we've looked at it, it was the wrong decision. We then have to go through changes and all sorts of things. But I'll always make sure that it's them that have made that decision. It was the wrong decision. But I also meet people who've set up a business and they could have made it a lot bigger. So they've went sole trader where there could have been a social enterprise, there could have been a limited company or a kick, but they went familiar. They thought, oh, well, I'll end up paying more tax, or what if I get into trouble off the government? So, well, you're going to get into trouble anyway, no matter what you do. So just do everything right. But I think it's really important, and we'll repeat this 500 times if you need to, is speak to somebody about it. Speak to an impartial business advisor. Impartial business advisor is somebody who has no reason to give you bad information or good information. It's just the right information. And you're right, Lisa, if you look at the government website, it's like soup, alphabet soup, and you're like trying to put it together. It's like, no, just talk to somebody about it. Come and talk to Judith, come and talk to me. We'll just say, right, tell us about you first. Tell us about your business. Right, this is the different ones that you can pick, but let me explain what each of those are. Not just, oh, well, you just register it here and it costs you that much, but the whole longevity of it. So the reporting, the reason why you would do it, how that would make the outside world look upon you. So if you set up as a charity, the outside world would view you in this respect. If you were a kick, some people don't understand what a kick is, or a CIO. You need to be aware of that. So the first thing you might do in your business, if you do set up a kick, is explain what that is to people, and then you've got your audience there and you've been able to explain it, which means you understand it. That's good for you. And then keep telling people all about these things. Before you know it, the world will know what it is. It won't just be us.
That, bounces back down to that fact finding though, doesn't it? It's all about finding out that information and hearing it from, a number of then sources that allows you to take that information on board. So then that you know what that means to you. Does that then align with your values? Is that what you then want to do? And you know that you're then setting up and you've made that informed choice based on the information that you've then got. And I think that's why it's really critical, to use people as that sounding board and have those conversations with people.
I get asked quite a lot as well, like why I went down the route of CIC. And I was saying to Mel before, like absolute prime example of it. I got a phone call this morning just before I came here off Epinay School, which is the school for children with additional needs, if you don't know. And they rang me up and said, could you come in next week and do a session for us? And we like talked through what they needed and things. And then she said, and how much will you charge? And what was just brilliant for me, and the exact reason why I've done it the way I've done it and why I wanted the heart of my business to be this way, was that I could say, oh, well, actually, I've got some funding here from the University of Sunderland. So actually, I can deliver that fully funded for you. And just being able to say that was like just the best end to that conversation, which now I can go into that school and build up that relationship with them that I might not have been able to do otherwise. So, look at how you want your business to function. And I think there's different ways that you can do that. But for me, that's the exact reason why I went down the path I did.
And in terms of speaking to you both, there's a prime example of why, because that just blew our minds. So, and Bernard, you got some love there. Someone loved.
Did you get some love?
Yeah. My accountant logged off though.
Oh yeah, it was. I know him.
So did my solicitor by the looks of it.
Accountants and solicitors don't always know best. Because people.
But we love you.
Thanks for the caveat there.
So they need to come and talk to people like
you're right. Yeah, come to the experts. Yeah, sure. Thanks, George. Who's next then? Who'd like to? Maybe someone who's thinking about starting up.
I thought Mirabelle was going to sing as a song then. How are Mirabelle?
Did you have a question? Oh, you were just moving it on. Okay. Yes, anyone maybe thinking about starting something? I'm looking at the ladies in the corner of the room. Eunice, there's a question here coming.
I can see it in your face. Come on, ask the question. Don't be shy.
It's not really a question. It's just, don't you think human beings, as their nature, will always think they can't do anything?
Yeah.
I've never been involved with business. I wouldn't know where to start. Does my idea actually work? And who wants to know? And it's getting that, I suppose, across. I mean, I have been involved in business, but that's besides the point. But it's just getting people to know where to come for the right advice, which is obviously what you're giving out today.
Yeah.
Could we put this into context, please? Come on, tell us what you do. Tell us
Well, what I did.
No, tell us what you're doing now.
Sorry. We are part of the volunteers that run a drop-in, chip in if you please, in South Tyneside at St Hilda's, and we help and support people who've got drug and alcohol, past and present, socially isolated, mental health issues, totally chaotic. Nobody else wants to know them. The businesses are mortified. Actually, we are encouraging them to come into South Tyneside, but they've got to come somewhere for some support. So we get support from STARS, which are drug and alcohol team, mental health team, South Tyneside Council support staff behind us there. We've got volunteers who've got lived experience and can relate to the people who are actually there and can sit and talk to them quite easily. We've got other support networks that come in who are working with people who are homeless, trying to get them into accommodation. So basically we've got quite a few support networks that come in and they're there for a reason. We've got shelter that come in and helping people who are struggling with their houses and accommodation and stuff like that. We are self-funding at the minute. We haven't quite got into a stage where we know where to get funding from and what's the best funding. So we've got a little limited budget and we know how much we can spend each week. But the doors open at 9:30 on a Thursday morning. So anybody's welcome to pop in and see what we do, have a cuppa. Up to last year, we had about 15 on an average Thursday. At the minute, we've got about 38 coming through the doors.
Oh, wow.
So it's getting it's getting well beyond the environment that we're in at the minute. It's a bit chaotic. So we've got different experts sitting in different parts of the church chatting to people. There's copious amounts of tea, coffee, hot chocolate going all morning. There's toast, amazing food. This is our volunteer who has got some support to help her create the meals that are going out at the minute. So there's toast, crumpets first thing on the morning, cereal at the minute, and these are coming out of our budget, obviously. What did we have last week? Oh, yes, we had chicken pie. And she did pastry. She did her own pastry, not frozen pastry. So it was chicken leek and bacon pie with roasties and carrots. The leek came from one of our gentlemen.
I know what I'm doing on Thursday.
One of our gentlemen's got an allotment, and he brought in a show leek. Oh, wow. My word. Honestly, it was absolutely humongous. Nobody would take it home and curl it up and put it in their freezer, so I had to do it. And much to the horror of my partner when we're sorting out the freezer. But anyway, it went into the pie, which was great. And this week we're having soup, so the leek will get used up again.
So, thank you, Eunice. I put you on the spot there, didn't I? But you know, we all love stories on these business talks,
that's why
right?
we're here.
Exactly. So it does put it into context. So there'll be projects like this that are running that no one's aware of, and volunteers are doing some fantastic stuff. What happens when you meet people like this? What do you do?
I'm coming to see you.
There you go.
And I'm going to support you in an application to the Boost programme, but I'm going to look at other funding that's available for you that you might be missing out on. But it's not just about the money. I think you need the support. I'm quite mad on Facebook and Instagram and places like that, so you will get known. I'll make sure of that when you're ready for that. But I think, like, heart to heart, what you're doing is absolutely amazing. And I know it's not just helping people in South Tyneside, it's helping those people who've got a drug and alcohol addiction or have coming out of it, but the families that are involved in that as well, in the wider circle. So honestly, you're doing an amazing job. And this is why we do what we do. We don't get paid very much for what we do, but we do get emotional payback, and that's why we want to support you and make sure you're not missing out on anything and shouting about the rooftops. So one of the biggest things that I see from social enterprises is that it is a person or a group of people who are doing amazing things and reaching amazing heights and haven't got the time, and that's all it is, haven't got the time, maybe a little bit of the energy as well to shout about what they're doing. So if we can come in and plug that gap and shout about what you're doing on your behalf, we absolutely will, which I think is the point where you're at now, and get people to stand up and support you. Absolutely. And I know, like you guys as well, but Mirabelle, who we picked on right in front of us, is is an author of 25 things now as of this morning. She's a writer of a children's storybook. And do you know what? The underpinning thing within that is raising awareness about allergens. And I know I'm speaking on behalf. Go on, tell us a bit more, Mirabelle. Tell us about your story, because it's so important. And I can see like other people being a supporter of you as well.
So I was working as a teacher, and that was basically it. But then my grandson, when he was 6 months old, he went into anaphylaxis. It was pretty traumatic because in the ambulance, he was actually revived twice. His arm went down, couldn't find a pulse, the 6-month-old baby. It all happened in 20 minutes. And then I decided that I had to turn the negative experience into something positive, just to have a balance in life. And so that's when I started writing children's stories. And as he grew older, he started asking me if I would publish his story and publish the book. And kind of being a teacher, I was thinking a lot about safeguarding as well, because some of the readers would be children who have been through the experience. So then I decided to choose a little fox cub and a little puppy dog, and they were going to have this adventure. So that I wasn't kind of dealing with children going through the trauma. I also got in touch with parents who had children who had suffered anaphylaxis, and a number of these, they've lost their children without saying goodbye, because it is so quick. Normally the parents aren't there. It's a stranger that's there. And by the time the parents find out, their child's gone. And 2 of these children, it's happened in school, where another child had, put something in their jumper or put something next to them. Within 20 minutes, half an hour, it happened. So I'm going to be raising allergy safety awareness. And what I'd like to do is work with small children, whereby we go through 4 little steps, how to keep your friends safe. Of course, I'm not going to be saying what I've just said with the little ones. So it's all playful workshops. I'm also Ofsted trained. So when it comes to workshops and teaching and resources, I've had quite a bit of training. I've been in teaching 36 years. This is now the business side of things and taking it out into the community. So I've stopped teaching and I'm focusing completely on this because, as I say, my grandson wanted to know if I would actually ever do this. There is a lot about allergy when it comes to the first aid side and what to do if a reaction happens. What I want is to stop that from happening in the first place. And that is where the gap is. And I think that's where the identity of my business will be. So the book is on its way out. It's back. The last edit, the final edit is with the editor. Had a meeting this morning, another meeting with my illustrator. That's where we are. And Melissa.
Oh, you're plenty of meetings for me. But that's what it's all about. It's a social enterprise, setting up a business. It's exactly what you guys were just doing there. It's talking about what is the issue, what are you going to do about it, but actually telling people about it. And if it means that Judith and myself get together, we bring in Lisa, we have a little bit of a conversation with you about, okay, that's the support that you're doing, but we also need to shout about it. That's what we're going to do. And we're going to connect you with the right people to do it. So again, I can't employ you enough. Talk to somebody about it. No idea is a stupid idea unless you're sitting on it. Yeah, and then we're getting told to boot off Facebook now.
And as far as Boost goes as well, just to reassure people, so the process of applying for Boost, so once you've done your application, you have an interview, which wasn't nearly as scary as I thought it was going to be. But what's lovely is, it really wasn't. It was lovely. You kept us calm, even though my brain kept just like, it was like, you've answered about 5 of my questions in one there, Lisa. I was like, I'm sorry, I'm just excited. But once you've had your interview, what's lovely about the Boost one is that you're not going to get a no. You're going to get a yes, we'll fund you. So I've applied for like the £5,000 one, or we don't think you're quite ready for that yet. Can we convert it into the try one, which is £1,000? Or they'll say, not quite, and this is what you need to do. And I think that's quite unusual for
and then come back
program.
and try again.
Like, it's not just you never hear anything again, which is what you get sometimes with funders. So it's not going to be a no. They're going to give you options of kind of where to go next. And I thought that was really refreshing as like a small business to have that. So it's well worth giving it a go.
Good stuff. Thanks, Maribel. Thanks for the stories. They really work. It just helps put it all in the context. So good stuff. We're going to close it off, but we've got some food coming. So the lady's going to stop. So if you want to catch anyone that we've spoke about today, please just have a little chat over lunch. Thanks so much for coming. Thanks so much for watching at home as well. I'm sure lots of people will be watching this on catch up as well. So if you are, be sure to share it to anyone that you might think be relevant, and you'll get involved with anyone who wants to. Thank you so much. Cheers.